Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tinnitist TV. Today, I am talking to the one and only Bob Rock. You know, he just might be the most important Canadian in music. He's certainly one of the most prolific and successful Canadians. Over a career that has spanned more than 4 decades, Rock has produced, worked, and played with an incredible list of performers, from Vancouver bands like Young Canadians, D.O.A, and his own Payolas, to global superstars like Metallica, Mötley Crüe, Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Bryan Adams, The Offspring, and countless others. But his latest release might be some of the most personal and heartfelt work of his career. Lustre Parfait, for those who haven't been paying attention, is a collection of recordings that Rock made over the course of a decade with Tragically Hip frontman Gord Downie, and completed recently in the wake of the singer's untimely 2017 death. More than just a frivolous side project, it's an album that finds both artists pushing themselves out of their comfort zones, experimenting with everything from 70s glam to 80s synth-pop, and crafting a monumental, moving masterpiece in the process. After feeding horses from his truck in Maui, Rock got on Zoom to discuss this labor of love, his early days in Winnipeg, the new Metallica album, who he wants to work with next, and more. Enjoy. Hey, Bob Rock, how's it going?
It's going good. Going
Excellent.
good.
I expected you to be sitting in your studio or something, not out in the car.
No, I just finished feeding the horses in my truck. So this is my schedule. I just got finished. So there you go.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time. Greetings from your homeland and birthplace.
Yes. Winnipeg?
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome.
So thanks for making this album. It is wonderful. I laughed, I cried. And congrats on winning the 2024 Juno for Best Rock Album.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's
I mean,
cool.
I think you're guaranteed to take home some prizes.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was blessed. I was working with just a wonderful man. I was very blessed. It was a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I would think it's got to be kind of bittersweet to be, putting it out and promoting it and doing all this stuff, though.
Um, well, it's got to do with the promise that I made Gord when he was, he asked me to make sure people hear this. So
Oh,
I'm fulfilling my promise to him. I had to finish. It took me a while to get to basically finish it. I couldn't listen to it when he passed away for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden there was interest in putting it out. So yeah, I had to finish it. And so to me, when it gets released next month, I fulfilled my promise to Gord, and everybody should hear it because he's just incredible.
oh, exactly. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you won't have any problems getting people to hear it. So obviously you guys had worked on a couple of albums together. Um, did you did you end up producing them because you were friends with him, or did you become friends with him after producing him?
I became friends with him after working with the Hip. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so then,
When just the real part of it is Gord came out to see me to ask me if I would do the Hip album, I guess World Container. And we talked about that for about 15 minutes. And then we talked about being fathers, being Canadians, hockey lovers, growing up in Canada, and our families and blah, blah, blah. That's when we became friends. And then it continued to blossom since then.
so what happened that sort of flipped the switch to, well, this is all well and good working with the band, but the two of us should get a room together, you know?
Well, what happened is when I finished, we were wrapping up finishing We Are the Same, and Gord just said, "Do you have any music?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got some tracks." How I write is I put together tracks. So a lot of the tracks that you're hearing, I put together. That's how I write music. Anyway, and I sent him a couple tracks, and basically when he sent it back, I almost broke down. It was like incredible, you
Mm.
know. And then we just continued because it was so much fun, for me. It was incredible experience. When you write music, I think it's the hardest thing for people to write songs to music, right? A lot of times songwriters write the music at the same time. Excuse me. Anyway, so we just continued. I kept sending him music, and he'd send it back to me. And then, of course, both of us are so busy that every time we could get together, like he was in LA and I was in LA, I think twice. And we got together in my hotel room and recorded vocals and talked about it. And then a couple of times in Toronto, and then in Vancouver. We had a couple of sessions there. Yeah.
So did it ever go the other way, that he was sending you lyrics and you were writing to that?
No, it was basically he wrote to the music that I wrote. I think the only thing I suggested was he says, why did I call this track called Camaro? And I said, well, a Camaro is my wife Angie's favorite car, right? I still haven't gotten one yet, but she just loves that car because of Aloha, Bobby and Rose, this movie, right? Yeah. Anyway, and I said, so I thought I'd name the song Camaro after a girl named Camaro. And he went, okay. And then he came back with the lyrics. And I mean, where he got to, I have no idea, but the lyrics on the whole record, but that one, to write a song about a Camaro, but actually a girl named Camaro, and be that good is outstanding.
Oh, all the lyrics are. I mean, I just love the album title is like, Lustre Parfait is like one of those Gord. It's a poem in 2 words,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you ever ask him what any of the things meant, or were you just content to let the butterflies, stay out there and not try and pin it down?
I think most of them are, they're stories, like, for instance, Hell Breaks Loose is a story. I think there's, North Shore. A lot of them are pretty in there. But no, I didn't really ask him because, I think that's the greatness of him. It's like we all take our meanings from great lyric writers, I'm a huge Bowie fan, and sometimes I get something out of it that nobody else gets out of it. It's that one of those things, and I think Gord's like that.
Yeah, and so you said that once he got ill, once he was diagnosed with his condition, you guys were able to talk about it. At what point were you in sort of the proceedings there? You'd obviously cut all these 14 songs. Were there a lot more besides that? Are there unfinished?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. These are the 14 songs. When we just finished recording, I think the last one was, the vocal was Let Me Howl. We finished that vocal. Not soon after that, he was diagnosed. I went and flew out to Toronto and visited him for a couple of days. And then I said I was going to mix it, and that's when it got serious, and I tried to get it finished. He heard basically the album kind of finished in the first version, but after he passed away, I couldn't really listen to it for a while, and I realized that in a funny way, I missed the boat in terms of perspective. So actually, the 3 years that it took for me to look at it again, I realized that the most important thing was really his lyrics and his voice and his performance. So I completely, when I remixed it, I put up his vocal very loud, right there, very present. That's the main thing. And I made sure that the music never interfered with that.
Right, but it complements it beautifully. If I read or understood some of the press releases right, a few of these songs you kind of went back and reproduced or changed, and some of them even just stripped right back to his vocals and rebuilt. Is that right?
Gray Boy, the new single.
Right.
I realized when I was listening to it, that the music wasn't as good as his vocal and his performance. So I basically stripped everything, took everything away, and rewrote all the music. And that's what Gray Boy is. That was the last thing that I finished. It just wasn't up to par, basically.
Right. But
He
the
wrote
rest,
it to another track, but there you go.
right. Is that the one that sort of had the most revision? The rest are kind of somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, like he obviously he wasn't there when I finished. He never heard like Shea Dorval's vocal with him, right? And he never heard kind of some of the stuff on Lustre Parfait. But with the time I had to get a new perspective about everything, I separated myself and I became what I do for a living. I just tried to make a great record, and I know he would love it.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask, was whether you were making those decisions, whether you had that sort of what would Gord like, what would Gord want in your head, or whether you can even work that way. Like, because that I would think would hamstring you, and that, as you said, you would have to kind of banish that from your mind and just go with your
I
gut,
just
right?
that's the thing, working with them, with the Hip and with Gord, basically they gave me free reins on the records that I made. So I mean, I think he would love everything. Becoming friends, and really the key was we have a lot of the same influences, and besides our families and everything else, but we musical influences. So I don't think I did anything that he wouldn't love. I
No,
can't speak for him. Do you know what I mean? We are the same is the quote, basically.
yeah.
You know.
One of the things that I like about this album is the range of the influences. I mean, obviously some of it sounds like what you would expect from Gord Downie, but there's a lot of stuff that goes much farther afield, which I think is great because, when you talk to musicians, inevitably you find that they love things that you would never expect them to like based on their catalogs.
Well, I think there was a certain amount of freedom
Yeah.
in this project because it has nothing to do with the Hip,
Right.
and I think that to any artist that I know, that is a great thing, because they always have to think of where they came from and have respect for their career, like Gord does.
Mhm.
So it gave him freedom to do whatever he wanted. We were just like a couple teenagers making a record together. We no kind of like expectations. We didn't know what was going to happen, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think you hear that in the album though, because you do get the sense that, especially knowing it was done over the course of years, that you were just getting together, making these tracks, and obviously not on a deadline. Obviously, didn't have some label guy giving you notes or looking for a
Yeah,
single. I mean, because there's everything from '70s glam rock to '80s synth pop. Some of it to me has echoes of the Stones. Some of it, particularly a lot of your guitar work, is kind of David Gilmour to me. I mean, there's even one song where I kind of go, "Are you doing Doug Bennett?" you know?
yeah.
I,
You
I
know,
mean,
I
that To Catch the Truth to me, that one sounds like it could have been a Doug and the Slugs track.
well, basically, To Catch the Truth is West Coast punk, which
Yeah,
is, that's it's like basically it's all wrapped up in the Young Canadians, the Modernettes, Doug, Doug and the Slugs, just like the whole Vancouver scene. That and In the Field, that's West Coast punk.
yeah. And then you've even got a little sort of reggae rock,
Yeah,
punk kind of goes back to your old days there.
exactly. You caught me there. Yeah.
Um, and you are playing just a ton of great guitar on this album. Forgive me, it has been so long that I had forgotten how well
I'm a
you
guitar
played,
player.
how much you could wail.
Well, the thing is I played all the guitar on the album, like
Yes, I know.
everything. And I didn't realize that until we finished it. But basically, budget-wise, I was the only guitar player available. So, yeah. Anyway, it was fun just to play. When I'm alone, I play and I have fun, and that's what's on the record. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like all the things like you can hear Mick Ronson, you can hear David Gilmour, you can hear all my Jimmy Page, you can hear all of them. It's all through the album. And you know, that's that freedom that I have, because I respect all those people. Like the guitar solo on Grey Boy is basically Gene Genie, you know, and
Yeah.
Ronson, it's yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the title track with the horns, it's got that kind of Rolling Stones circa Dirty Work, you know, or a
Yeah,
Mick Jagger solo album swagger
yeah.
to it. Yeah. So I mean, are you just constantly recording instrumental tracks on your own
Yeah.
that are just sitting in a hard drive somewhere?
Yeah, you know, like I think I've written 2 albums with Richie Sambora, the same thing. You know, I just constantly write. I mean, that the basically Eyes of a Stranger is a track that I wrote.
Yeah.
You know, gave it to Paul. That's how Paul and I wrote. That's how this all started. Because I worked in a studio, so I could kind of put it all together. And then, you know, he was either inspired or not. Some of the songs that are on the record, Paul wasn't inspired, but Gord was.
So, I mean, do you, how come you're not putting out like a constant stream of solo albums? Do you need somebody a partner to bounce off
I can't sing.
at all?
Well, yeah, I can, but
You do some
you
backup
know,
vocals on the album
yeah,
and you don't seem to stick out like a sore thumb or anything.
yeah, it's you know, to be quite honest, you know, like I work with Paul Hyde, who I consider one of the best lyric writers ever. Gord, you know, I'm I, I can't remember his name. The guy from the Weaker Thans,
Oh,
Winnipeg band.
John
Yes,
Sampson. Yeah.
he's one of the best in Canada. You know what I mean? The generation I work with, my generation's the best lyricists in Canada. I'm pretty blessed.
Oh, well, yeah. You
So
know,
I would,
it's worked out well for
I
you.
wouldn't try and write it. You know, I wouldn't try writing a lyric. Let's put it that way.
All right. All right. But has this maybe lit a little more of a fire under you to, you know, find some other people to collaborate with and get more of your own music out there?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't really thought about it. I wake up every day and I just make music. I'm a very lucky guy, you know. And you know what? I gotta say, I'm so proud, not just because we're talking Winnipeg, but Winnipeg had a lot to do with who I am today. There's no question. You know, growing up in Winnipeg was probably it was the start of everything, you know. And
How long do you live here?
what's that? I was there. I was born at Grace Hospital in St. James.
Yeah.
And we left, I guess, when I was about 14. My dad moved us out to Victoria. And the greatest thing was, you see, basically, I was playing hockey and playing guitar. When I moved to Victoria, there was no ice. Well, there was in arenas, right? So
Right.
basically, I knew nobody, right? I didn't have any friends, couldn't play hockey. So all I did was play guitar for about 3 years. And that's the start of everything. I was so pissed off at my dad when we moved out there, but it was the best thing he ever did for me.
Yeah, no
There you
kidding.
go.
Well, you now live in Maui, and we are waiting for a winter storm here today. So, you know, it kind of worked out for you.
Yeah. My wife was born in Flim Flom. We're both prairie people. So, yeah.
Kidding. Uh, so speaking of your studio, what else are you working on that you can talk about?
Right now I'm finishing up the new Offspring album. And yeah, and I'm working with Lucas Nelson. I just started working with Willie Nelson's son. He's got a band called Promise of the Real, but we're doing a solo project. So I just started with him, but he's got to be on tour, and it's probably going to be, most of the work will be done next year, but we're starting to do things. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, nice.
My kids, yeah, he grew up in Maui, and my kids went to school with him and stuff. So, yeah.
Great. Is that the first time you've worked with the Offspring?
Oh God, no.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
This is I think the 4th album I've done with them. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Because I know Dexter and Noodles actually are they on the album doing like a solo or a harmony?
No, they do Great Boy with us. with
Right.
in the video. Yeah, that
Yeah, I
was
know
just
you're in
for
the video,
fun.
but they're not credited on the album, so I wasn't sure.
No, they didn't play it. They just guessed it. It was fun. I'm basically the studio that you see is where we work at, right? And I said, so I'm doing this video with Abe and with Jamie. Do you want to guest on the harmonies, because you know there's harmony guitars? And so they said yeah. So they guessed it on the in the video. They're
Excellent.
great guys. They're my buds.
Yeah, no, I've talked to them a couple of times, and yeah, I mean, they are far more together than I guess a lot of people might expect of them being a punk band. They're incredibly
Yeah,
talented guys, you know.
yeah,
Same with
they
Lucas.
really are.
Yeah, yeah. So we're not going to get a Bob Rock solo album soon.
No, you don't want to hear me singing. That's fine.
All right. I know you got a birthday coming up, and it's not quite a milestone birthday, but you're not too far off of a milestone
Yeah,
birthday.
I know that.
Any thoughts on the future, and do you have a list of people you still want to work with, or projects you have kind of a dream to complete yet?
Well, the band would be Led Zeppelin, and that's not it. That's pretty much impossible. I'll tell you something. This is a great story. At least I think it's a great story. So I bought Led Zeppelin 1 in the basement of Hudson's Bay in Winnipeg. Okay. And the Jeff Beck Truth album. Those two albums are the cornerstone of my entire career. Basement, Hudson's Bay, the record store in the basement of Hudson's Bay. Those two albums.
That's where
it all started
began.
there. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get to make albums with either of those guys.
No. Unfortunately, yes. No, you know what? I'm very happy with what I've done, and I still want to just make records. My love of making records is what I like to do. Whether I write it or I record it, still, I just love making records.
Wow. I mean, what's a typical day for you?
Well, here in Maui,
Sure.
I basically work for my wife. At the barn. And
Well
every
said.
morning every morning I get up at about 4 or 5 and I write and play guitar and do tracks every day.
Wow.
And then I work the rest of the day at the barn, and yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
I do.
I would love to get hear what's on your hard drive, you know.
You might. It'll all come out eventually.
You just got to find a singer and a lyricist.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
there's lots of them. Yeah, I did actually with Shay Dorval, who guested on Is There Nowhere. I wrote 5 songs with her. Same thing.
Yeah. On
her album. Yeah, great stuff.
Well, and I'm sure John Sampson's available. Give him a call.
Yeah. Such a great love the what's the first album I heard. Paul Hyde gave it to me, and we were blown away with its lyrics and stuff. What a great writer.
I think he's the best writer to come out of this town since whoever, Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman or whoever.
Yeah. Well, we recognize that.
Yeah,
That's why I said, he's so strong. Great band. Yeah.
Have you already heard the new Metallica album?
I've heard a bit of it. I heard the single. What I love about the single is in the key of A, right?
Okay.
And everybody's going lower. And they went to the key of A, which is kind of 70s British, new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah.
So they're not going down, they went back up to A. And I phoned them and I said, texted them and said, that's so brilliant. Awesome.
I think you're the only guy who probably phoned them to congratulate them on the key they wrote the song in.
Probably.
I was
just going to say, but as soon as I heard it, I went, oh, that's different. I picked up my guitar. And I said, you guys are so fucking clever. Yeah, it's good.
The other thing I read somewhere who you referenced in this album that I just loved was Alex Harvey.
Oh, yeah. That's, Lustre Parfait.
Yeah.
The bridge.
Yeah,
that's Alex Harvey.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Don't I? Yeah. Yeah.
I would not have taken you for an Alex Harvey fan, sir.
Oh, total. Paul and I, when we were in England, we went to be rock stars in '73, and I came back, I guess '74, and he stayed and he saw Alex Harvey, and he
No.
brought back
Wow.
Framed and the second album, Who's Next, and so they were big. Actually, Paul and I did a cover of Swamp Snake. It's going to come out. We did a blues album, Paul and I, that
Oh,
I've got
wow.
to finish now that I'm done. You know, when I'm finished this album run with Gord and stuff. Yeah, I got to finish it up now. We did a blues album, all our favorite blues songs, and one of the songs is Swamp Snake, sort
Oh,
of a blues
perfect.
song. Oh, it sounds great. The other one is I Can Feel the Fire, Ronnie Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two of the covers that we did.
Excellent.
Yeah, the Alex Harvey one's great, really great.
That'll be later this year.
Probably beginning of next year. It'll
Okay.
take me the end of this year to finish it.
How far ahead are
Yeah.
you working on things? I mean, do you have like a line of dominoes of projects lined up at any point in time?
I try not to. You know what was great? I got to tell you, when COVID happened, it's the first time I've ever had that much time off in my life since I started at Little Mountain in '76. And I got to drag all my guitars out and do writing. And it was nice to have a little bit of time. So now I'm just going to take it easy.
And well,
Continue to make records, but just take it easy, right?
Well, good for you. I think you've earned it. And I mean, God knows you got to leave some music out there for other people to produce, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, I know you've got other people to talk to, and I will let you get on with your day. But thanks again for making this album. Seriously, it's just fantastic, and I think it's
Thank
going to
you.
resonate with a lot of people and make them miss Gord all the more and appreciate him all the more, you know. And
Yeah.
I would definitely clear some space on a shelf because
Well,
you're
we'll
gonna
see.
get some little trinkets, I think, next year for this. Not that
Well,
that's how you do it, but you know.
I would just say hello to Winnipeg. I miss you.
Come back anytime.
I don't miss the mosquitoes, but anyway. Yeah. Great
There you go.
memories of Winnipeg. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen,
Okay.
thanks again. Take
It
care.
was
We'll
nice
see you
talking.
somewhere.
Aloha. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.